Christopher orchestrates a scandal to test his fiancée Isabella's true feelings. As a result, a fake marriage with Abigail, a janitor, brings unexpected changes to the CEO's life. If this love story speaks to your heart, one simple subscribe means the world to us. Help us reach our 1,000 subscriber milestone. Before we begin, let us know in the comments where you're watching us from, and please like this video to support the channel. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. The Lewis Enterprise building looms in the heart of Manhattan, a symbol of power for the financial empire built by Christopher Lewis. He was holding the Wall Street Journal, a fake report that he himself had arranged to publish. Lewis Enterprise on the brink of bankruptcy. The financial empire collapses after a series of failed deals. After 5 years of dating and 3 months of engagement, he was about to learn the true feelings of his fiancée, Isabella, the woman he had devoted all his love to. "Are you really sure you want to do this?" Richard, his closest assistant, asked with a worried tone. "I need to know. I don't want to spend the rest of my life with a woman who only loves my wealth." "Are you sure she'll read the paper?" Christopher looked at his Patek Philippe watch. "Isabella reads the Wall Street Journal every morning with her coffee. She'll see it." Isabella enjoyed her cappuccino in her luxurious penthouse. When she opened the newspaper, her eyes widened in horror. Isabella immediately called her close friends in the financial world. No one answered. Part of Christopher's plan. She had spent 5 years becoming the perfect girlfriend for Christopher, a luxurious life, elite parties, world travel. And now, all of it was about to vanish. "I can't marry a bankrupt man." An hour later, she was in Christopher's office. "I'm surprised you're here so early. I think we should cancel the wedding." Christopher looked directly into her eyes, searching for any hesitation, any trace of pain, but found nothing. "Is it because of the newspaper?" "Don't make this harder. We both know this marriage won't work if you are no longer the same." Isabella took the 5-carat diamond engagement ring off her finger and placed it on the oak desk. "I'm sorry, but I can't stay with a man who can't provide the life I deserve." "You really think that way?" "Don't make this harder. We are both adults." Christopher nodded, feeling a sharp pain in his heart, but also a strange sense of relief. "I understand. You may go." Isabella left the office, not looking back once. When the door closed, Christopher sighed. 2 months later, in a quiet corner of the Lewis Enterprise building, Abigail was silently mopping the floor. Her brown hair was neatly tied up, and her small face with warm brown eyes focused on her work. It had been 3 years since she started working as a janitor here, and she never imagined that this job would change her life. "Miss Green?" A polite voice startled Abigail. "Yes?" She looked up and froze when she saw Richard, the CEO's assistant, standing in front of her. "Mr. Lewis wants to see you." Abigail felt awkward, wondering what she might have done wrong. "I'll be right up." When Abigail stepped into Christopher Lewis's office, it felt like she had just entered another world. The spacious room, with its luxurious furniture, expensive art pieces, and a man standing with his back to her, looking out the large window. "Miss Green, thank you for coming." Christopher turned around to face her. Abigail felt her heart race. "You wanted to see me? I have a special proposition for you." Abigail was surprised. "A proposition?" "I want you to play the role of my fiancé for 1 month." Abigail thought she must have heard wrong. "Excuse me, what?" "I'll pay you $100,000 to pretend to be my fiancé for a month, including a fake wedding." "But why me?" "Because you are completely different from the kind of woman I usually date, and that's exactly what I need. I need to settle a debt, and you're the perfect tool." Abigail felt her self-respect being hurt. "I'm not anyone's tool, Mr. Lewis." 100,000. "I know about your family situation. Your mother needs heart surgery, right? This money could help her a lot." Abigail froze. "How do you know about my mother?" "Knowing about my partners is part of business." "So, Miss Green, what do you say? Will you accept my offer?" Abigail looked down at her rough hands, the hands that had worked hard for years to care for her mother. Her mother needed surgery urgently, and the insurance didn't cover enough. $100,000 wouldn't just be enough for the surgery, but would also help them get out of debt. I'll do it, but I have one condition. A condition? Half of the payment up front. And no intimacy. You're a tough negotiator. All right, I agree to your terms. A contract will be drawn up today. 2 weeks later. How do I look? Abigail asked, spinning in the custom-made Vera Wang wedding dress. The personal stylist hired by Christopher for her, a French woman named Sophia, nodded in satisfaction. Stunning, mademoiselle. Mr. Lewis will be speechless. I'm not sure, Abigail whispered, feeling as if she were living in a dream. Are you ready? Christopher's voice came from the door, making her turn quickly. When their eyes met, Abigail noticed something had changed in the coldness of Christopher's gaze. He stood there, in a black Armani suit, staring at her intently. Abigail, he whispered, his voice deepening. Do I look okay? She asked softly. You look perfect. Our fake wedding will shake New York to its core. Are you sure you want to do this? Abigail whispered as they stood together, waiting to enter the aisle. Christopher gently squeezed her hand, his eyes steady. Absolutely sure. Have you memorized your lines? Abigail nodded. She had spent the whole week learning how to be Abigail Green, the woman who captured the heart of billionaire Christopher Lewis after just one meeting. The fake love story had been carefully crafted, how Christopher fell for her at first sight. The wedding music began to play. Christopher took Abigail's arm, leading her down the aisle, where hundreds of guests waited, the most powerful faces of New York, none of them knowing this was all a perfectly staged performance. Then, Abigail saw her. Isabella sat in a seat near the back, in a striking red dress that stood out among the crowd. She stared at Abigail with a look of disbelief and jealousy she couldn't hide. She's here, Abigail whispered. I know, Christopher replied, his tone indifferent but his eyes flashing with satisfaction. The wedding reception unfolded in brilliance under the chandelier lights and the soft melodic music. Abigail and Christopher danced together, their bodies so close that she could feel the rhythm of his heartbeat. And then, Isabella appeared before them. Christopher, congratulations. I'm surprised you married so quickly, and to someone like her. Isabella's gaze swept over Abigail from head to toe, as if appraising a cheap commodity. Isabella, thanks for coming. I wasn't sure if you'd accept the invitation. How could I miss the opportunity to congratulate my former fiancé? Isabella smiled fakely, then turned to Abigail. You know, we were engaged before. Before you abandoned me thinking I was bankrupt. Christopher interrupted, his voice cold. But as you can see, I found someone much more deserving. He pulled Abigail into his arms and placed a kiss on her forehead. The gesture stunned Abigail. It wasn't in the script, and it seemed too genuine. Isabella choked on her words before quickly regaining her composure. Is that so? I'm really curious. What did she do to win you over? Surely not because of her education or social status. Because she has something you'll never have, Christopher said, looking straight into his former fiancé's eyes. A sincere heart. Isabella's face went pale, and she turned to leave. You didn't have to say that, Abigail said softly. I say what I think. Thank you for helping me get through that confrontation. Abigail smiled, but a strange feeling stirred within her. She was playing the role of a fake wife, but her emotions were starting to feel real. 1 week passed, and Abigail and Christopher lived together in the Hampton mansion as a newlywed couple. They appeared together at social events, posed for magazine photos, and maintained the appearance of a happy couple. But what was strange was that, when no one else was around, the distance between them seemed to be shrinking. Christopher was no longer as cold and distant as before. Instead, he began inviting Abigail to dinner, chatting about favorite books, and sometimes even sharing stories about his business dealings. The next morning, Christopher drove the Bentley Continental GT along the coastal road. The sea breeze tousled Abigail's hair, and she felt a strange joy. It had been a long time since she had felt this free. "Where are we going?" she asked. "To my special place. I've never taken anyone there." They stopped in front of a small house on a cliff, overlooking the vast ocean. It wasn't as lavish as the Hampton mansion, but it had a simple, peaceful beauty. "This is," Abigail whispered, "the first house I ever bought. Before the financial empire, before I became Christopher Lewis, the man everyone knows." The interior was simple but cozy. An old sofa, bookshelves full of worn books, and black and white photos hanging on the walls. "Are these your parents?" Abigail asked, looking at one of the photos. Christopher nodded. "They passed away when I was 16 in a car accident. I was raised by my uncle, but he didn't really care about me. When I was 22, I left his house, started my first company, and eventually was able to buy this house." He looked out at the sea. "This is where I feel like myself." Abigail gently touched his hand. "Thank you for sharing this with me." Christopher turned to look at her, his deep gaze making it hard for Abigail to breathe. "Abigail, I don't know what's happening, but I'm starting to feel that this contract was a mistake." "A mistake? Not in the way you think," he quickly added. I, I'm starting to feel really comfortable being with you, and that scares me." Abigail smiled, unable to hide her happiness. "I feel the same way." Christopher moved closer, his hand gently brushing her cheek. "I don't know what this feeling is, but I want to explore it. With you." And then he leaned down and kissed her. It wasn't the scripted kiss from the wedding. It was sincere, full of emotion, making Abigail feel as if the world was spinning around them. After that moment, the relationship between Christopher and Abigail changed completely. They were no longer fake husband and wife, but were truly beginning to get to know each other. One morning, Christopher left for work early for an important meeting. Abigail decided to do something special for him. "Martha, could you teach me how to make lasagna?" she asked the housekeeper. Martha smiled. "Of course, Miss Abigail. It's Mr. Lewis's favorite dish." "I know. He told me last night." They spent the whole morning in the kitchen, and finally Abigail managed to make the perfect lasagna. She placed it in a picnic basket along with a bottle of Christopher's favorite red wine. "Are you planning to bring this to his office?" Martha asked, surprised. "Yes. I want to surprise him." When she arrived at the Lewis Enterprise office, Abigail felt a little nervous. She had never been here as Christopher's wife before. But Richard, his assistant, greeted her with a friendly smile. "Mrs. Lewis, it's a surprise to see you here." "Sorry for coming without notice. I just wanted to surprise Christopher with a special lunch. Is he in his office?" "He's in a meeting with—" Richard hesitated. "With Ms. Walker." Abigail's heart raced. "Oh, I see. I'll wait here." "They should be done soon," Richard reassured her. "You can wait in the small lounge next to his office. I'll let him know as soon as the meeting ends." But then, she heard voices through the door, Isabella's high, shrill voice. "I'm serious. I'm pregnant, and that's why I left. I was scared that if you went bankrupt, you wouldn't be able to take care of our child." Abigail peered through the crack in the door and saw Christopher standing motionless, his face void of expression. His silence seemed to confirm everything Isabella had just said. In that moment, everything Abigail and Christopher had built over the past few weeks, the smiles, the longing glances, the accidental touches, it all seemed like an illusion. The lasagna box in Abigail's hands suddenly felt heavy. The unexpected pain hit her hard, causing her to drop it onto the floor with a soft thud. "I'm so foolish," she told herself, feeling betrayed despite knowing their relationship was just a business arrangement. How could I have thought someone like Christopher Lewis could actually care about me? She turned and ran down the hall, past employees who looked at her in surprise. Her heart broke with every step. She just wanted to escape, to get away from it all, to avoid the pain and the harsh truth that she had fallen for a man who didn't belong to her. The noise outside the door made Christopher frown. He quickly walked to the door, opening it just in time to see Abigail running down the hallway. On the floor was the fallen box, the smell of lasagna wafting up, his favorite dish. Abigail, Christopher whispered, his heart tightening. Isabella stood up and moved closer to him. Christopher, I'm talking to you. We need to sort this out. Christopher turned to look at Isabella, his eyes icy. Isabella, we ended things 2 months ago. And as for the child, he paused, looking straight into her eyes. I know for a fact it's not my child. Isabella's face paled. How can you say that? Don't you trust me? I had someone investigate you after we broke up. I know about your relationship with James Peterson. And I also know that we didn't have any activities that could lead to you being pregnant with my child 3 months before we broke up. Isabella took a step back, fear clear on her face. Christopher, you can leave now, or I'll have security escort you out. As Isabella walked away, defeated, Christopher didn't waste another second. He ran after the direction Abigail had disappeared, worried about what she might have heard and misunderstood. Rain began to fall as Abigail wandered the streets of Manhattan. She didn't care where she was going, just wanted to get as far away from Lewis Enterprise as possible, as far away from Christopher. But Christopher wasn't one to give up easily. After searching the entire building and not finding her, he began calling. When there was no response, his worry grew. Richard, Christopher called his assistant. I need you to find Abigail immediately. Use every resource we have. Richard didn't ask questions. Yes, sir. Christopher drove through the streets of New York, the rain pounding against the windshield, creating a rhythm that matched his heartbeat at that moment. He checked all the places Abigail could have gone. Her apartment, the hospital where her mother was being treated, the cafes she liked. There was no sign of her. Finally, he decided to head home. It was 11 p.m. when Abigail finally returned to her apartment. She was exhausted, drenched, and still heartbroken. When she reached the door, she saw Christopher standing there, equally wet and looking disheveled. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. Abigail, where have you been? I've been looking for you all day. I need some time alone. Did you hear the conversation between me and Isabella? I don't want to talk about it, Abigail said, trying to open the door, but her trembling hand couldn't get the key into the lock. Christopher gently took her hand. Abigail, look at me. She lifted her eyes, tears welling up. I understand. I know I'm just a part of the plan, a temporary role. I shouldn't let my feelings take over. But you didn't need to hide Isabella and the baby from me. That was a lie. Isabella isn't pregnant with my child. She's trying to hold on to me with a child that doesn't exist. But you didn't deny it. You just stood there. Because I was too shocked. I needed time to understand why she would lie like that. And just as I was about to refute her, I heard the noise and realized you had heard the conversation. Abigail, you need to know the truth, Christopher continued, stepping closer. Isabella and I didn't have a physical relationship in the last 3 months before we broke up. She couldn't have been pregnant with my child. Why would she do this? Abigail asked, her voice trembling. Because she realized she made a mistake by leaving me. She sees that I'm still successful and happy, and she wants to come back. But I don't want to go back to her. I don't love Isabella anymore. A quiet silence passed between them, the sound of rain providing a soft backdrop. I don't love Isabella anymore, and I haven't for a long time before we broke up. Abigail's heart raced. She opened her mouth to say something, but stopped herself. I know our agreement was only pretend, Christopher continued, his eyes never leaving hers. But what I feel, every smile from you, every accidental touch, Every deep conversation we've had, it's all real. And when I couldn't find you, I was terrified, more than I've ever been in my life. Abigail trembled as she welcomed the touch, the warmth from his hand contrasting with the cold rain outside. I've realized something too. I've realized that I've fallen in love with you, hopelessly, because I knew it was all just temporary. Christopher smiled, the warmest smile Abigail had ever seen. There's nothing temporary about it. I love you. I love the way you always put your mother's needs first. I love the way you never hesitate to tell me exactly what I need to hear. I love the way you see the world with honest eyes and a kind heart. Tears streamed down Abigail's face, but this time they were tears of happiness. I love you too, Christopher. I tried not to love you, but I failed completely. Christopher took one more step, now only a small distance separating them. I don't want our agreement to end after a month, Abigail. I want it to last forever. Not as a fake wife, but as a real wife. Not as a role to play, but as our real life together. Abigail looked deep into his eyes, searching for any sign of uncertainty, but all she saw was pure and sincere love. He gently pressed his forehead against hers, their breaths mingling in the rain. And then, under the New York night sky, Christopher kissed Abigail. Not a kiss for the stage, not a kiss for show, but a kiss from two souls who had finally found each other, two hearts that had lost and then found one another again. If this story has touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales of love, resilience, and second chances. See you in the next story.